Hello and welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning. I am your host, Tony Gerdeman. The Indiana game is in 88 days, the game against Michigan in 172 days. My guest today is Kevin Noon. You may know him from the Big Me Kickoff, the several times that he is on This Morning Show with Tom, all of his appearances on Buckeye Weekly. Kevin, I have asked Kevin to be here for this show. I've given him an idea of what the show is going to be, but not given him too much information because that is how things happen to me when Tom texts me to be on the show, and I'll be volunteering at the orphanage or helping at the fire department, and I'll get a text and it'll be like, "Hey, can you drop everything? I've forgotten to prepare a show. Can you just help me out?" And of course, I'll have to tell the orphans I've got to go. Then the animal hospital, I'm volunteering there as well. I've got to leave the kittens in danger, basically, and then come and do the show. So, Kevin, thank you for joining me today.
Setting fires is not helping out at the fire station. That's just giving them more work. So, but thank
Practice
you.
Makes perfect.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule of helping out nuns and orphans and kittens to invite me onto the show.
No, it's your pleasure, and it's my pleasure as well. So thank you for doing that. What I have for you today, it's a very Ohio State centric, as the show, it's in the title. But I've got some over-unders for you. I've got some over-unders on the Buckeyes, and then I also have some not quite over-unders, but you'll understand as I get there. But we can talk these out as well, because my first over-under for you, Kevin, is number of starts for CJ Hicks, and I'm setting the line at 0.5. What are you doing?
Well, I'm kind of thinking about this. We know it's the Steele and Tommy show. We know kind of the third linebacker is Cody Simon. So it's not necessarily a case of, well, if they play one game of where they need to go more 4-3, that CJ is the guy, unless somebody, I don't like speaking stuff into existence, of somebody gets dinged or whatever. I think that the safe answer is to say the under, but I also am a big believer in the chaos theory, so let's just have at it. I'm going to say the over. I'm going to say that he starts one game along the way due to one reason or another. He's going to see a decent amount of playing time in a support role, but he will get that one crack to start, and it will be a nice precursor to him being a fixture in 24.
Wow, Kevin trying to speak injuries into existence. Bold strategy, Cotton.
Well, somebody may be out just, volunteering at the animal hospital. I don't know.
True. And I honestly, I don't necessarily think it would take an injury. It just maybe, what, we want to throw the jack in the starting lineup this week and create some chaos that way for the to start the game and get the opponent thinking. So I don't have to actually choose because I've set the show up. So I will leave that to you. You took the over on that. Next one, because this one, I think, well, I'll just let you talk it out. Number of starts for Sonny Styles, I have set at 2.5.
Oh boy, that one, and I figured once you talked about over-unders that there was going to be the Sonny Styles question. And, this is one that could be a huge wide variance in what the actual number is. It could be 0. It could be 15. I mean, I really don't know, but at 2.5, I know that you're banking on me going over, I think, because that under, there's just not a lot of room there on that side. I think that just with the sheer amount of uncertainty of what the configuration of the secondary is going to be, and just with, I think it's going to be important for Ohio State in terms of some of the running teams that they're going to face to have that extra physical body up there, in the box or box adjacent. I'm going to say the over.
Yeah, and that's really why the number is more than just 0.5 for me, because I can see him in the lineup in their Georgia defense, basically in that against a 12 personnel team where Jim Knowles has called him a nickel, but he's essentially a strong safety or Sam. And you could see him doing that against maybe Minnesota, maybe Obviously, Michigan would be one. So I think there's opportunities for that. I probably would go the over as well, especially early downs. The game starts on early downs, first down. So you could maybe see that. I'm not, Rutgers. I don't know. Wisconsin's offense has completely changed, so you can't expect them to be the run heavy offense that they've always been. But I think there's enough there where, oh, again, I don't have to do that over unders. I don't have to actually make decisions. So I'll leave that to you. Now, Kevin, here's one for you. Number of starts for Devin Brown, I am setting at 1.5.
I'm going to take the under, and it's because I believe that at that point, I'm saying that the job is going to go to Kyle McCord, and I know all through the spring, I was the contrarian. I was saying Devin Brown this and Devin Brown that, and nothing against Kyle McCord, but having the player with 2 years of club control and everything else, not that there really is club control anymore with transfer portal, but somebody that has 2 more years of mandatory eligibility before they can go to the league, that there might be some value in there. I think that the injury kind of took Ryan Day off the hook a little bit in terms of how he has to measure that decision. I mean, if Devin Brown comes out and he's 20% better than Kyle McCord, then you got to play Devin Brown. But I think it's going to be McCord. And I think once again, it's a case of these quarterbacks have not played a lot of college football, any in Devin Brown's circumstance, really. And because of that, there's not going to be an opportunity to get to be cute or be funny or do the Jim Harbaugh. And it's like, well, we're going to play this guy in this game, and we're going to play this guy in this game, and we're going to decide from there. Plus 2, you're giving me the hook on there. So 1.5. I mean, if there's the one outlier, which I think the number is going to be 0 in terms of starting. Even if there's the one outlier game, I would need a second game to cash the over, but I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, and this was kind of the CJ Stroud, Kyle McCord 2021 thing where there's just a little injury and the starter comes in. I would go with the under as well. I think they feel really good about where they are and who they have. And it's probably a big number because I chose an option. I went under. If I put that at 0.5, are you still going under? I mean, I think that is the safer bet because something would have, in my opinion, something would have to happen for that to go over.
Well, and again, as you've already accused me after I tried to insulate myself of speaking injuries into existence, I mean, we can sit there and be like, well, with unproven tackles and everything else, I mean, could something happen? But again, even with that, it would have to be a prolonged absence then at that point, because we're talking about who's starting a game. And unless somebody has a nasty pass rush that gets you coming off the bus or whatever, that's not really going to be an issue. But yeah, even at 0.5, I think I'm still taking the under.
Speaking of the questions at tackle, let's discuss newest Ohio State tackle, Josh Simmons, the transfer from San Diego State. Number of starts at left tackle, 0.5.
I'm going to take the over because, again, it's a situation. Do you bring him? I mean, do you feel good enough in terms of, I know that they were giving Josh Fryer the look at left tackle and everything there, but does Josh Simmons come in and is he a safer pick at your left tackle position? And do you put it in terms of at right between Josh and Zen and Tegra and let them try and figure it out? If you like Josh Simmons enough to bring him in via the portal, that means that they have to feel that there is something there. And since I don't feel that Josh Fryer necessarily closed the door on the competition and locked down that spot, I really think that there's a downside because Josh Simmons doesn't come in the spring to get to go through the 15 practices. So there's a lot of work by extension in order to stay compliant with the NC2A rules of how things work there, everything else. But it would not surprise me to see Simmons play left and then one of the three play right, and you kind of go from there. So maybe I'm the outlier there, but that's my belief.
And Justin Fry did say the learning curve for a transfer is flatter than it is for an incoming freshman. So he expects him to pick it up pretty quickly, and they will work him at both sides to see where he is best. Then I guess I don't know if this negates my next question. It's about Josh Simmons and the starts at right tackle. I put it at 6.5.
You see, and I guess at that point I would say the under, because I think that it's going to be a situation where I think he'll be the left. Now, I probably am putting very few units on either of these picks. I mean, some of the other ones I feel a little bit more comfortable loading up on. I think these I'm waiting to see if I have that bonus bet, and I'm not spending my money. And then I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm also looking to see what my rate of return is on terms of the bets as well. But since I see Simmons at left, I 6.5 would certainly be a lot for a guy that I think is going to be playing on the other side of the line.
Let's stay with that number of 6.5 starts and apply it to sixth-year safety Josh Proctor. Let's stay with the Joshes. Let's stay with the 6.5s. Let's move to safety and Josh Proctor.
We have all these conversations about what the secondary is going to look like, who's looking good, who's repping where. We certainly have history on our side of seeing the years of where the secondary falls apart when Josh Proctor gets hurt, because he's had a couple of those significant injuries. You throw all of that into a blender, and then you sit there and you listen, and nobody's been talking about Josh Proctor all that much. So you bring in Jahad Carter, and I mean, I understand that not everybody is a carbon copy of each other in terms of adjuster and everything else, but I'm going to say under. I'm going to say under, and I know that might be a little surprising to some people, but I just didn't hear enough buzz about him in the spring to think that he is necessarily going to be the guy out there, drive one, play one. I think he's going to still see a significant amount of playing time, but I don't know. I mean, I guess the place that I get burned is if they start the season and they're having some deficiencies in the secondary, and then you have to sit there and go to the wily old veteran to kind of shore things up. But for now, I'm of the mindset of under.
Okay, he has been the starting free safety and strong safety. He started opening day safety the last 2 years. Of course, last year gets burnt in the Notre Dame game, and Lathan Ransom comes in and takes a job. The year before that, he broke his leg. Sounds like he will perhaps be the opening day starter again. I wonder if maybe we're not talking about him as much because it's Kai Stokes behind him, whereas Lathan Ransom has Sonny Styles behind him, and there's more clamoring for a Sonny Styles. It's still, I think there's still some things to be worked out there, even though seemingly everybody has a place, but things have not gone as smoothly at safety as the coaches would have liked for a while now. So it'll be interesting to watch. Here's one for you, and there's no hook here because I'm not sure. Number of Heisman finalists on this team, I put at 1.
Well, is your definition of a Heisman finalist the invitation to New York?
Yes.
Well, then, I mean, if you put it at 1, I mean, it's going to be 1. I mean, I just, because I'm of the mindset that voters have a hard time putting two guys from the same program on there. The way that Heisman voting is you get to put like 3 guys on, and you rank them 1, 2, and 3. And a lot of people are going to have a hard time putting 2 guys from the same program on, especially on the same side of the ball. And I think that the belief is that, Ohio State starting quarterback, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State running back are all guys that are going to get legitimate consideration, with Marvin being kind of the front runner in terms of, a lot of people think that it's him, Caleb Williams, Drake May are your top 3 guys going into the season, with some other names sprinkled in there. I don't see a scenario. I mean, yeah, I think that if McCord or Brown go nuts, people are still going to look at what the production is of it going to Marvin, and all of that's going to go into Marvin's category. And I think that you run into a big issue if Marvin has gigantic numbers worthy of really being the Heisman. I don't think that there's going to be a running back that's going to have gone for 1,500 yards. And I mean, if we think that there could be a defensive Heisman candidate, I'll hang up and listen, because I mean, again, I'm not slighting anybody, but we're sure as hell not talking about it at this point.
No, I think that Marvin Harrison is the obvious guy. However, in the history of college football, all time since Ryan Day has been at Ohio State, he's never had a first time starting quarterback that wasn't a Heisman finalist. So the history of college football, hundreds of years. Ryan Day at Ohio State.
In that same expansive time frame of the Ryan Day window at Ohio State, he hasn't had a wide receiver go and be a Heisman finalist. So, one of those streaks is going to have to give, I think.
We shall see. That's why I didn't want to go 1.5. I didn't want to go 0.5. It feels like you said it at 1. Nobody's going to bet on it. And you know what? That's fine. Last one. Very last one, and then we'll get out of here. Number of wins over Michigan I have set at 0.5, Kevin, this year. Where are you going?
Wow. I'm going to go on. I'm going to say the over, because I think Ohio State plays Michigan certainly one time. I don't think that there's going to be more than one. We're still in divisions this year, so there won't be that rematch the following week in Indianapolis. And I think that the chances of them both seeing each other in the final playoffs, I think that the College Football Playoff Committee this year, if there's a year for them to go out wildcatting, it's going to be this year, because everything's going to change next year. Well, it's going to be 12 next year anyway, so shut up. I think that the winner of that Ohio State-Michigan game is going to be in the playoff, just based on the schedules and the personnel and everything else. And I think that the loser of it is going to be out. I mean, in terms of the playoff. So that we're now saying that there's going to be the one meeting. I understand that it's in Ann Arbor. I understand that it's in late November, et cetera, et cetera. Questions of toughness will be called into the equation. I certainly have heard all the Michigan fans talking about all the reasons why Michigan is going to continue its recent dominance over Ohio State. JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. I think that I really think that with some of the tweaks and some of the changes that Ohio State has been working on over the last couple of years, I think they're going to finally have it dialed up right. I don't think we're going to see Jim Knowles trying to do some of the things that happened there, but I think that the biggest thing that is going to aid Ohio State is that I think we're going to see a more balanced offense. I think we're going to see an Ohio State team that is going to have an ability to run the ball, whether or not it is a Q run, a design run, read option, all of that. I mean, whatever it is, I think that we're going to see a more balanced Ohio State offense, which is going to give Ohio State an ability to score more than 14, 16 points, whatever, in the first half against Michigan, and then, be able to find itself in the second half and not just have to hang on for dear life.
Very well said, Kevin. I want to thank you for joining us. An invitation out there to all of you to join us at BuckeyeHuddle.com, become a premium member. Say hello to us there. All kinds of discourse going on right now. Plenty of recruiting information if you're into that. There's all kinds of stuff coming in. Camps start this week. Kevin just recorded, produced in Big Me Kickoff with him and Alex Gleitman, talking about how the weekend official visitors went. So you can find that at all of your podcast platforms of choice, and also at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. You can also find us on Facebook as well. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.